Hello, everybody. We're going to learn today about adding fractions. This is lesson 6.1. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my paper into 3 hamburger folds, as I do usually. And I'm going to actually draw the lines on here too. Ooh, my pen's just about ready to die. Oh, okay. So I'm going to get rid of this pen and grab another one. Okay, so we're going to write on here our name. We're going to write lesson 6.1. And we're doing pages 245 to 247. All right, so this lesson is about adding fractions and adding unlike fractions. So one of the things that you learn to do in 3rd grade is add fractions with like denominators, and that's pretty easy. But when you get into 4th grade, we're going to learn about adding fractions that have unlike denominators, which is a little bit more tricky. So let's take a peek at this example right here in our book. Lisa ate 1/3 of a pizza. Kate ate 1/6 of the same pizza. Let's see if we can focus that a little bit better. What fraction of the pizza did they eat all together? So we're going to add 1/3 and 1/6. Now, before you can add a fraction, they have to have a like denominator. They have to have a denominator that matches, and the denominator is the number that's on the bottom. So we have to find an equivalent fraction to 1/3 that has the same denominator as 1/6. Multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number. So in this case, we have 1/3. If we multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, we get 2/6. Now we can add them because 2/6 plus 1/6 equals 3/6. And the equivalent fraction for that is 1/2. So they ate half the pizza. You can even squint and see that it's 1/2 of the pizza. They ate 1/2 of the pizza all together. To add unlike fractions, we first change them to fractions with the same denominator, and then we add. So just as a quick reminder, this is called the numerator. This is called the denominator. Okay, so just so that you remember when we use those words that the numerator is on top and the denominator is on the bottom. All right, so we're going to look at some problems here in our book. We're going to do guided learning. We'll do 1 through 6. So on number 1, we have, it says find the equivalent fraction and then add. So we're going to add 1/4 and 3/8. So we're going to have to make this 1/4 into a fraction that has a denominator of 8. So if we multiply the bottom by 2, then we also have to multiply the top by 2. So if we start out with 1/4 plus 3/8, this can't stay as it is. We're going to multiply it by 2 so that it becomes an 1/8. And if we do something to the bottom, fractions are always about fairness. If we do something to change the denominator, we have to do the same thing to the numerator. So that means that 4 times 2 is 8. And that means an equivalent fraction of 1/4 is 2/8. We multiplied the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. Now we can add. And we get 5/8. Now, one way to figure out if this is in simplest form is to ask ourselves, can we divide this anymore? And the answer is no, we can't. Sorry, there's somebody at the door. All right, let's look at number 2. So our next problem, we're going to look at 1/3 plus 2/9, right? And this 1/3 can't stay as it is. We're going to have to change it into a denominator that has a 9, right? So 3 times what equals 9? Well, 3 times 3 equals 9. And if I multiply the bottom times 3, then I have to multiply the top times 3. Did they get what they needed? Did they get what they needed? Hey, Jeff. Did they get what they needed?
Oh.
Yeah?
I guess.
Okay. There's a little sign on there.
Yeah, I'm assuming she dropped off a bag.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Was it Alyssa's mom?
I don't know. I don't know who she is.
Okay.
Yeah, I know she's. I don't know who parents, kids together.
It was somebody.
Is it somebody? She's there now. You can look. Or not.
Hang on just a second.
Quick, catch her. She's getting a bug. She's robbing the place blind. She's good. Where's the little sign? Yeah. I thought you were going to do, but that's why I was not responding to you.
No, I'm recording a lesson.
Oh.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
All right. If I multiply the denominator by 3, then I have to multiply the numerator by 3.
Are you talking to people right now?
Uh-huh.
You're online?
I'm recording a lesson.
Right now with us talking?
Yes.
Really?
I didn't say I was recording a good lesson.
Hi, everybody.
Hi to Jeff.
Yeah. If we're going to do this, let's do it all the way.
See ya. So if I multiply 3 times 3, that's going to give me a 9th. And if I multiply 1 times 3, that's going to give me a 3. Now I can add them. 3 plus 2 is 5/9. Okay? I can't reduce that any further. 5/9 is going to be the lowest that we can go with that fraction. Okay? Let's look at number 3. Number 3, I have 1/2 plus 1/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to change this to a 1/4. There's no way to add these together unless you convert. They have to have the same denominator, unless you convert the denominator of one of them. And the easiest one to convert is the smaller one. So we're going to multiply this by a number that's going to equal 4. So 2 times what equals 4? 2 times 2, right? And if I multiply the bottom by 2, then I have to multiply the top by 2. Okay? Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top, because it's all about fairness in fractions. So this is going to give me 2/4 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. Right? Pretty easy. Let's do our last, or actually there's a couple more. Let's do number 4. So if I have 2/5 plus 3/10, I'm going to have to convert one of these numbers, and it's easier to convert the smaller one, right? So 5 times what number is going to equal 10? 5 times 2 equals 10. And if I multiply times 2 on the bottom, I have to multiply times 2 on the top, right? Whatever happens on the bottom has to happen on the top. You have to be fair. So 5 times 2 equals 10, and 2 times 2 equals 4. Now I can add them together. And I end up with tenths on the bottom, and 7/10 is my fraction. Okay? Let's do another one. 5/12 plus 1/3. Ooh, look, they're being tricky. Plus 1/12. Dun, dun, dun. Which one are we going to change? We have 5/12, we have 1/3, we have 1/12. I think it's probably going to be easiest to take the smaller one and convert it into a 12th. So 3 times what number is going to equal 12? 3 times 4. And again, whatever we do to the bottom, to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. We have to be fair. So that's going to make this, if I have 5/12 plus 1/12, I have 6/12. And now I'm going to add 4/12 to that. Because 3 times 4 is 12, and 1 times 4 is 4. And now I end up with 10/12. Now this fraction can be reduced. This is not its simplest form. It can be further reduced. So one way to do that is to look at all the different ways that we can reduce 12. So I could divide it by 2. I could divide it by 3. I could divide it by 4. I could divide it by 6. I think if I divide it by 2, I'm going to get the best, I'm going to have the best option. If I divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, you have to, just like we did with multiplication, both the top and the bottom have to receive the same treatment. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So my answer is 5/6. And that's going to be in simplest form. And I know that because 5 is a prime number. So I know I can't reduce it any further. All right, let's look at the last one. They're doing another triple dog dare. So if I have these 3 fractions, the one that I'm going to have to change, these two are already the same denominator. They have the same denominator. The one I'm going to have to change is this one over here, the smaller one, right? And I want to make it into a 10th so that they're all uniform. So 2 times what equals 10? 5, right? If I multiply by 5 on the bottom, I have to multiply by 5 on the top. So this is 2/10 plus 3/10 equals 5/10. And this is going to be 5/10. And 5 plus 5 is 10. 10/10. If I said, hey, I'm going to give you 10 out of 10 pieces of pizza, I would be giving you 1 whole pizza, right? So 10 out of 10 is 1 whole. It's equivalent to 1 whole. Okay? So what we're going to do is, let's do the rest of the problems that are in the Let's Practice area, and I'm going to flip my paper, and I'm going to use the back side to do that. Okay? So I'm going to look at number 1. It says, find the equivalent fraction, complete the model, and then add. So we have number 1 looks like this. It has 3/4 equals, and then it has times 2 times 2. And then we have a green box over here. And then we have 3/4 plus 1/8 equals green box plus green box. And that equals green box. And then we also have a little model over here that's a circle. And this has, we cut it in half, and then we cut the halves in half. And this has everything shaded except for these two. And this one's shaded with a different color. So this model is showing, this model's showing 1/8, and then it's also showing, this is 3/4 that are shaded. Okay, so, and then it has a little thing up here, a green box up here, and a green box down here. Okay, so let's do what they're telling us. We have to multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, because what we're adding is 3/4 plus 1/8. So we're going to convert this into an eighth by multiplying the top and bottom by 2. So that's going to give us 6/8, right? So 3/4 plus 1/8, this is actually 6/8 plus 1/8 equals 7/8, right? And this is 3/4 right here because it looks like 3 out of 4. It's actually 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we add the extra eighth to it. And we get, this is 1/8. And this is 6/8. Okay, let's look at problem number 2. Problem number 2 is 1/3 plus 5/12 equals green box plus 5/12 equals green box equals green box. So let's look at number 2. We have to change this right here into a 12th. What are we going to multiply the top and the bottom by to do that? I think if we multiply it by 4, because 3 times 4 is 12, right? So if we do that, we're going to end up with 4/12. And 4/12 plus 5/12 equals 9/12. Now, we can divide the top and bottom. This can be simplified. I'm thinking of a number that they have in common. So I know that if I multiply 3 times 3, I can get 9, and 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm going to divide the top by 3, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 3. And that's going to give me 3/4. Right? So again, whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So if I divide it by a number, I have to do both. If I multiply it by a number, I have to do both. Multiplying and dividing is just a way for you to get an equivalent fraction. Let's look at number 3. Oh, number 3 is easy. What's easy for some people is hard for other people. But look, they have the same denominator. So I can go ahead and add them together, and I'm going to get 7 as my denominator. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and if I have 7 out of 7, 7/7 equals 1 whole, right? So my answer is 1 whole. Let's look at number 4. Number 4 is 5/12 plus 1/3. I know which one I'm going to convert. It's easier to convert the smaller one. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 4 to get 12. So 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 times 1 is 4. So I'm going to take 5 twelfths plus 4 twelfths equals 9 twelfths. Now I can simplify that fraction. I just did it on number 2. I got the exact same fraction. If I divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, that's going to give me 3/4, right? And that's going to put it in simplest form. All right, let's look at number 5. They're giving us a triple again. 1/9 plus 4/9 plus 1/3. The one I'm going to have to change is this one right here, right? So what can I multiply the top and bottom by to equal 9? 3 times 3 equals 9. So I'm going to have 1/9 plus 4/9 is 5/9 plus 3/9 equals 8/9. And I know that I can't reduce that any smaller. So I know that I'm just going to have 8/9. Okay, let's do the last one. Apologies for that interruption earlier. All right, here we go. So I'm going to take 3/8 plus 2/8 plus 1/4. Which one am I going to have to change? Obviously this guy, right? So 3/8 plus 2/8 is 5/8. And if I multiply the top and bottom by 2, I will get an 1/8. So I end up with 7/8. Okay. So hopefully this helped you to see how to add unlike fractions. This is something that you probably have a little teensy bit of experience with, but by the time you go to 5th grade, you'll be really good at doing it because it gets easier the more you do it. All right, thank you for joining me.